Mini 2 SE versus Mini 3 versus Mini 3 Pro. What's going on, beautiful internet family? My name is Dan Davis and I'm Australia's #1 drone YouTuber. And today I've got the ultimate comparison between the Mini 2 SE, the Mini 3 and the Mini 3 Pro. If you are a beginner pilot and feeling a little bit overwhelmed by the whole process of flying your drone, then check out the Fearless Drone Academy. I am the course creator over there. I've put all of my years of experience into the ultimate online drone course for beginners. And if you're not interested right now, definitely sign up to the newsletter because you will get a free gift, which is the pre-flight checklist. And if you do want to pick up the course, use DansTube to save 10% off the course. So I've got another mini drone comparison here. These three drones, as you can see, have got a similar kind of build to them. It's interesting to see that the Mini 3 and Mini 3 Pro definitely are a little longer than the Mini 2 SE. And the Mini 2 SE is the same chassis that we've seen from the Mini SE, the Mavic Mini, and the Mini 2. So there's nothing majorly different about the body, the chassis of the Mini 2 SE. And from my understanding, the Mini 2 SE isn't available worldwide. A few people have let me know that, but still it is available if you do want to check it out through the D1 Store's website. I will have those links below. And then we've got the Mini 3 and the Mini 3 Pro. You can see when they're on top of each other, the Mini 3 and Mini 3 Pro slightly poke out more than the Mini 2 SE. So they're a little bit longer than the Mini 2 SE, but they all weigh under 250 grams. Let's start off by talking about price, because these three drones definitely have a carved out market point for consumers in terms of their price point, in terms of what they're capable of doing. And I think each drone has their rightful place in the market. So if we look at the Mini 2 SE, which is the brand new mini drone from DJI, this is $599 if you want the drone, the controller, one battery, and just a few little accessories. This is in Australian dollars. And if you want the Fly More combo, which comes with the extra batteries, giving you 3 in total and a few other accessories, that will set you back $799 Australian dollars. Remember, I will have the links in the description below to check out all of these drones. And now when we look at the Mini 3, this guy will set you back $1,188 for the Fly More combo. Now, this has got a different battery design, it's got a different build overall, and it's really like a completely different offering when we compare it to this drone here. There are some similarities, but this really is a different drone overall to the Mini 2 SE. So 1,188 Australian dollars for the Fly More combo, which comes with the controller and the 3 batteries and the extra accessories. And now the Mini 3 Pro will set you back $1,899, but this is the exclusive DansTube subscriber bundle. It does come with the DJI RC. It comes with a bunch of accessories. This is exclusively available through the D1 Store's website, which is the authorized retail store for DJI products in Australia. So $1,899, that will give you the 3 batteries, you get the plus batteries, you get the DJI RC, and you get a bunch of different accessories in there. Like, honestly, you're gonna be blown away with the accessories you get in that combo. So that is, again, a little bit more expensive again, but this is like the ultimate combo. It gives you everything you need. Again, I'll have that link in the description below to check that out. If you do want to reach out to D1 directly, you can contact them at sales@d1store.com.au, mention DansTube, let them know what you're looking for, whether it's one of these drones, whether it's something else, whether you want a combo or a bundle or whatever, let them know, mention DansTube, and they will definitely help you out with the best deal they can. The 2 deals that I mentioned for the Mini 3 and Mini 3 Pro actually give you the plus batteries. So we'll get into that a little bit later in the video, but basically you have a few options here. You can either get the basic battery, which is this one here, and it actually says 249 grams on the actual battery itself. So that lets you know that this combo here is under the 250 grams. But then the plus combo, which is this one here, again, it looks very similar, like you couldn't even tell, but there's no text there that says 249 grams. So that means that's the plus battery. So just make sure you check out those listings below because it will detail everything you get. So let's get into the nitty gritty of these 3 different drones. Like I said, 3 different price points, 3 different reasons why you would get these drones. Like, they definitely have their distinct offerings here. But when we start off with the Mini 2 SE, this drone here is a beginner friendly drone. So it has some very basic features. It really has everything you need as a beginner. But when we start off by looking at the camera system here, this is a 1/2.3 inch CMOS sensor. It's got a fixed aperture of f2.8 and it's capable of capturing 2.7K up to 30 frames per second. You also have the option to capture 1080p up to 60 frames per second. So a very decent offering, basic offering, you know, like there's no 4K here. It's not the most insane camera quality when we compare it even to the other two drones. The type of people that would benefit from a drone like this are definitely the beginners, like people who have never owned a drone before. Maybe you've owned like a toy drone in the past, something that's really flimsy and cheap and doesn't even connect to satellites. You know, something like this is going to be a big upgrade for you because it's going to hover and hold its position. It's going to connect to satellites. It's got that 3-axis gimbal, which is going to give you buttery smooth footage. 2.7K as well isn't something to kind of shy away from. Like a lot of the toy drones will only give you 720p or 1080p. So 2.7K is an upgrade for a lot of people. And I'd also say for people out there who already have maybe a higher end drone, this is a really fun drone to add to your arsenal because it does enable a lot more like tight shots. So you can go between trees a lot more freely. You're going to be a bit more confident to fly something like this. It's definitely a little bit more agile through those smaller gaps. So that's also where this would probably stand out for people that already own a drone. There are no HDR options on this drone here. There's also a max bitrate of 40 megabits per second. And on top of that, it has zoom options of 2.7K up to 3 times zoom, and then 1080p up to 4 times zoom. That's digital zoom. It's not like the actual lens is moving. It's literally just cropping the image. But the fact that you get some digital zoom options is cool because some of the other mini drones around this price point don't give you that. Now, when we look at the Mini 3, this is where you'll start to notice that there is a big difference between the Mini 2 SE and the Mini 3. Now, the Mini 3 has a completely redesigned body and camera system. As you can see, it looks completely different to this drone. Like they do look overall different, and I would say that that is a benefit because the build quality definitely feels higher, like the higher build quality on the Mini 3. The arms just feel more sturdy. The camera system is built a little bit more ruggedly. It also gives you the option for vertical video, which we'll get into later on in the video. But just overall, I feel like the build quality of this is better. Even like the battery release system feels a lot nicer than the kind of cheap little door that you get on the Mini 2 SE. Like that's one of the things that I feel could break at any point on the Mini 2 SE. It hasn't broken on the other designs for me, touch wood, so it seems to hold. But the Mini 3 is definitely an overall higher quality build to it and just has a really unique look to it. So the camera system is a 1/1.3 inch CMOS sensor. That is an improvement over the Mini 2 SE. It also has an f-stop of 1.7, so that allows it to basically let more light into the sensor. Definitely a lot better in low light, and to have a larger sensor than the Mini 2 SE just means that it's got a lot more information going into it. So overall, the camera system on this guy is significantly better. It also is capable of 4K up to 30 frames per second. So again, that's an improvement over the 2.7K that we saw on the Mini 2 SE. So that 4K is a big reason why you would want the Mini 3 over the Mini 2 SE. There's also HDR options up to 30 frames per second, and the bitrate, the max bitrate is 100 megabits per second. On top of that, you do get digital zoom, but because you've got the 4K, you get 4K digital zoom up to 2 times. The same will apply. 2.7K will go 3 times, 1080p will go 4 times. Again, digital zoom, but the fact that you've got a better camera system here will mean that that digital zoom will be a lot more usable than on the Mini 2 SE. And now when we come across to the Mini 3 Pro, it is pretty much an identical design to the Mini 3. The only difference here when we look on face value is the fact that you have legs. You have landing legs on the Mini 3, but the Mini 3 Pro doesn't have landing legs. Now, that's probably due to like a weight restriction because they're trying to keep these drones under 250 grams. But on the Mini 3 Pro, it does have obstacle avoidance. So it's got 3 sets of sensors with 6 in total. We'll get into that later in the video, but that is extra weight, extra power, all that kind of stuff. So that's my understanding of why they haven't put the landing legs on the Mini 3 Pro. But overall, it looks pretty much identical to the Mini 3. The Mini 3 Pro does have the same camera system here. It is a 1/1.3 inch CMOS sensor, but it is capable of capturing 4K up to 60 frames per second. So the Mini 3, you're probably starting to get it now, it's like the Mini 2 SE, 2.7K up to 30, the Mini 3, 4K up to 30, and then the Mini 3 Pro, 4K up to 60. So you can see there's like slight improvements here that clearly mark out in the market, I guess, like that price point and the different offerings here. So this is the Pro offering. You can capture up to 4K 60 frames per second. It does have the same HDR offering up to 30 frames per second, but when it comes to the max bitrate, this guy stands out over the Mini 3 because it can go up to 150 megabits per second. So if bitrate is important to you, then the Mini 3 Pro stands out again. On top of that, we do have the zoom options that we had on the Mini 3. So you've got 4K up to 2 times, 2.7K up to 3 times, and 1080p up to 4 times. So similar offering here when it comes to the zoom. You do get better bitrate on the Mini 3 Pro, and you also get 4K up to 60 frames per second. We do have some similarities now between the Mini 3 and the Mini 2 SE. So they both do not offer slow motion, which is a little bit of a bummer for the Mini 3, seeing as you are spending a little bit more here. It kind of makes sense on the Mini 2 SE, but both of them do not have slow-mo at the time of me making this video. The other thing is that they've only got a normal color profile, so they don't have any other like flatter color profiles, any other unique color profiles. It's literally just the normal color profile and no slow motion. And when we look at the Mini 3 Pro, this is where it actually does stand out again over the other two drones, which makes sense. It's a Pro offering, it's definitely more expensive, but it can actually capture slow motion up to 120 frames per second in 1080p, which is full HD. 120 frames per second is insane. It's going to do the job for a lot of people that want to add some unique kind of slow motion shots. And the fact that the sensor is larger, allows more light in, has a better f-stop, just means that you're going to be able to capture some pretty cool slow motion options. Yes, it's only 1080p, but again, that's going to be usable for a lot of people. The other cool thing is that it does have a normal color profile and the D-Cine-like color profile. So that color profile has seemed to be like reserved for the Pro offerings from DJI. So we are getting it here on the Mini 3 Pro. D-Cine-like is definitely like a flatter profile. It's almost usable on its own without color grading, but it just seems to have a lot more information in it and you can play around with it a lot more than the normal color profile. So again, that's another standout feature of the Mini 3 Pro. So when it comes to photo capabilities, these two guys actually do share, again, some similarities here. So the Mini 3 and the Mini 2 SE both have the option of 12 megapixel stills. So usable in a lot of scenarios, but again, you've got to remind yourself the Mini 3 does have a larger sensor and it's got an improved f-stop. So you are going to get slightly better images out of the Mini 3. So 12 megapixel on both, and the ISO goes up to 3200. So again, they both share some similarities when it comes to photo and some of the video options as well. So this is where the Mini 3 Pro stands out again. So it does actually give you the option for 48 megapixel stills. You have to go into the photo settings and then there's like a specific 48 megapixel mode. Typically it's capturing 12 megapixel still, but you do have the option for 48 megapixel still photos, which is a big standout here. And you also have a max ISO of 6400 as opposed to the 3200. All three drones can capture raw images. So that's actually pretty cool because I know some of the mini drones, like the real beginner friendly mini drones, don't actually have the option for raw images, like the Mavic Mini and the Mini SE, but the Mini 2 SE can capture raw images, which is where it kind of becomes a bit of a hybrid between the Mini 2 and the Mini SE. But all three drones can capture raw images, but the Mini 3 Pro stands out here with that 48 megapixel option, as well as the ISO going up to 6400. So talking about battery life, which is quite a big calling card for a lot of people, the amount of people that tell me that battery life is one of their like high priority items. When we look at the Mini 2 SE, it does have a completely different battery to both the Mini 3 and the Mini 3 Pro, but this battery system here is the exact same as the Mini SE and the Mini 2. So you can get yourself a bunch of batteries online, seeing as both the Mini SE and Mini 2 have been out for a long time now. So you can get some like official batteries secondhand, relatively cheap if you do want to get yourself a bunch of different batteries, but you'll get 31 minutes of flight time from the Mini 2 SE. That's not terrible. You know, that's really the standard for a lot of DJI drones nowadays. 31 minutes is great. You're definitely not going to be getting 31 minutes because that's until the point that the drone's at 0% and crashes out of the sky. But realistically, let's say you get around 25 minutes potentially. That's still not a laughable amount. Like, that's awesome. 25 minutes is great. If you get yourself 3 batteries, you know, you're giving yourself over an hour of flight time. That's something that is usable for a lot of people and gives you the option to go to a bunch of different locations as well. With the Mini 3 as well as the Mini 3 Pro, you do have 2 options for batteries. So if you have the default battery, the one that says 249 grams on the bottom of the battery itself, that will give you 38 minutes of flight time. So So we can compare that to the Mini 2 SE, which gives you 31. 38 minutes of flight time is primo, like that is awesome. But if you get yourself the Plus battery, that will give you 51 minutes of flight time, which is like unheard of. It's like the best battery life in a consumer DJI drone. So 38 minutes, you're realistically maybe getting, let's say 33, 32 minutes of flight time, but still that is a big improvement over the Mini 2 SE. And if you get yourself that Plus battery, like game over, 51 minutes of flight time, realistically, let's say even 45 minutes of flight time, like that is insane stuff right there. And now when we look at the Mini 3 Pro, this guy again has a few different options. So the default battery will give you 34 minutes of flight time, so 38 on the Mini 3 and 34 on the Mini 3 Pro. My understanding is because it's powering the extra sensors, but 6 additional sensors, that's gonna drain a little bit more battery. So 34 minutes of flight time with the default, which is still awesome, or 47 minutes, which again is insane if you get that Plus battery. So the Plus battery looks like that. It basically doesn't have any text right here. So 47 minutes, realistically, you're maybe getting, let's say 42 minutes. And then what was it? It was 34 minutes. So you're maybe getting 28 minutes, for example. So still awesome stuff here, but there are definitely some differences when it comes to battery life. They've all got their own unique offering here. The Mini 3 actually has the best battery life overall, but that's because it's not powering additional sensors. All 3 of them do have the same wind rating. They've all got a level 5 wind resistance. So that means that they are capable of flying in 38 kilometer winds. 38 kilometer winds. That's insane. I've flown the Mini 3 in like, I think it was 32 kilometer winds, and I was like petrified, but it handled it. It didn't even seem to struggle. It was almost like I wasn't pushing it to its limit. Oh, they're all very capable regardless of what you put them through. Make sure that you have some sort of like wind compass app on your phone just to make sure that the winds aren't too intense, because it's also the gusts that you need to think about, because the wind may be a certain rating, but the gust may be over that 38 kilometer, and that's where the drone's going to get blown away, or you're going to like drift into a tree or something like that. So just make sure you got those apps on your phone. All 3 do have the same wind rating though, which is very impressive. The Mini 2 SE actually does have an improved controller. So if we look at the Mini SE, the Mini 2 SE seems to be the upgrade of the Mini SE. It should have been called the Mini SE2. Anyway, it's basically the upgrade of the Mini SE. So the Mini 2 SE has this controller here, where the Mini SE had the original black controller, which was only using advanced Wi-Fi. So this is the big upgrade here. You're getting OcuSync 2, you're getting a new controller, 10 kilometers of range, and 720p up to 30 frames per second of live feed video to your phone. And then with the Mini 3 and Mini 3 Pro, you can actually use either one of these controllers. But if we look at the Mini 3, for example, it is using OcuSync 2, 720p up to 30 frames per second. So let's say, for example, you get this controller, 720p, 30 frames per second, which is the same as the Mini 2 SE and the same distance of 10 kilometers. And it is using OcuSync 2. So they do share, again, a few similarities, the Mini 2 SE and the Mini 3. But when we look at the Mini 3 Pro, again, that Pro name makes a lot of sense because you are getting yourself better range. Remember that you can get this controller with the Mini 3 and Mini 3 Pro, but if you've got the Mini 3 Pro, you're getting OcuSync 3. You're also getting a 1080p video feed at 30 frames per second to your phone or to the controller, which is better. So 720p, 1080p, you're getting more clarity in the image that you can make sure that you're getting the shot that you want. And on top of that, you're also getting 12 kilometers of range from the Mini 3 Pro. So again, it is an improvement, and there are definitely some noticeable improvements here with the Mini 3 Pro. I've spoken throughout this video about obstacle avoidance. I've spoken about the extra sensors. Now let's quickly get into this. The Mini 2 SE does not have any additional sensors. It's got no obstacle avoidance. There's no option for following or tracking or anything like that. We might see the SDK released in the future, which means companies like Litchi and DroneLink and all the others can actually add following modes as well as waypoints. That's not confirmed just yet, but as of right now of me doing this video, no obstacle avoidance, no waypoints, no tracking or anything like that on the Mini 2 SE. When we look at the Mini 3, it's the same as the Mini 2 SE. There are no obstacle avoidance sensors here. There's no options for waypoints or, like I said, the tracking modes, anything like that. Although it has been confirmed that the SDK will be released for both the Mini 3 and the Mini 3 Pro. So that means in the near future, the Mini 3 will be able to follow you as well as set up waypoints. That's not 100% set in stone, but it looks like that is happening hopefully in the near future. Hopefully April time we might see the SDK release, which would mean the Mini 3 would then have those following modes as well as waypoints. But when we look at the Mini 3 Pro, just on face value, it does have 3 sets of obstacle avoidance sensors. So we've got 2 sensors at the front, 2 sensors at the back, and 2 sensors down. So that means there's no sideways obstacle avoidance, but there are 6 sensors allowing you to actually avoid the environment. So that means you can set up the A-Pass mode, which is the assisted pilot mode that basically allows you to like navigate around trees without putting any inputs into the controller. So it can track you, it can follow you through dense shrubbery or bushes or whatever it is, like a bunch of trees, obstacles. If you want it to track you on a motorbike or, you know, in a boat, in a car, whatever it may be, you running, jogging along some sort of track, this is gonna be able to follow you and avoid all those obstacles. So it is a standout because it does have the 6 sensors, which makes it a safer flight overall, but it also means that you're getting those extra modes, which are really cool. And I have actually got a bunch of content on the channel testing the tracking modes as well as testing like the other modes that are available with these sensors here. So definitely check those out on the channel. But that is a standout right now. And like I mentioned, hopefully in the near future, the SDK will be released for the Mini 3 Pro, which will mean that we can then do other additional tracking modes with the controller, as well as waypoint modes as well on the Mini 3 Pro. So this is gonna become like an ultimate mini drone very soon. The Mini 3 and the Mini 3 Pro both have vertical videos. So that means that the cameras can rotate to allow you to capture those vertical videos. Both of them have that option. The Mini 2 SE though, as you would imagine, does not have that option. It's just a fixed horizontal kind of camera system. But both the Mini 3 and Mini 3 Pro can shoot those vertical videos. The Mini 3 and the Mini 2 SE both do not have Master Shots mode, but the Mini 3 Pro does have Master Shots, so that's a really nice addition here. When we look at the Mini 3 and Mini 3 Pro, they have the exact same quick shot options, but if we look at the Mini 2 SE, it does not have asteroid quick shot mode. So again, there's just a few little like nuances, a few little like subtle details that make these 3 drones slightly different from each other. And that's kind of everything. That's everything that I could research and find, and all of the tests that I've been doing, that they're kind of all my thoughts and all the differences between the 3 drones. They each do have their place in the market. And if you're a beginner, you might not need the Mini 3 Pro. It's probably overkill for you. If you're definitely not gonna track things, then you probably don't need it. But you know, if you are going to track things, if you want something a bit more pro, if you want an improved camera, improved battery life, all that kind of stuff, then either the Mini 3 or the Mini 3 Pro might be right for you. So again, ask yourself the question, what am I gonna be using this drone for? Why do I need a drone? You know, if you've already got a drone, you might wanna get yourself like the more budget-friendly Mini 2 SE. Maybe you have never owned a drone and you're like, I think I want to commit to the Mini 3 Pro because it's going to future-proof me. They're the kind of questions you need to ask yourself. They're all very good drones. They're all very reliable. They've all got great camera systems, great performance in the sky, and a bunch of features that you are not going to get bored of. So let me know in the comments below, what drone do you already have? If you've got one of these 3, what drone are you considering getting? Definitely ask some questions below and I can help you out. And check out the D1 store for those combos that I mentioned at the beginning of the video. And I will talk to you in the next video. Peace.